Shalom and welcome to another in our series of podcasts from Temple Beth Am, a dynamic center for conservative Judaism in Los Angeles. This is a recording of a Shabbat sermon.
When I realized that I'd be giving a drash on the same day as this Ofruf, I offered to defer to family or a friend of the family. But Jen declined the offer and told me that a drash for this parsha, which is so rich in content, writes itself. I want to assure everyone that no AI was used, but I hope you enjoy the CGI, commentary guided insights. Generally, when a list of 1 through 10 is prepared, the number 1 item is better known or considered more significant than the entries that follow. For example, when the editors of Rolling Stone magazine compiled the 500 greatest songs of all time, Respect by Aretha Franklin was rated number 1. They said Aretha sang from a higher ground, a woman calling for an end to the exhaustion and sacrifice of a raw deal. The fervor of her magnificent voice demanded that respect and more. The song's unapologetic demands resonated powerfully with both the civil rights and feminist movements. The number 10 song on that list is Hey Ya by Outkast. Now, let's see if you know the answers to these questions. And if you do, just shout it out. Who is the first president of the United States? Who is the first president of Israel? Chaim Weizmann, very good. As of yesterday afternoon, who is leading the National League in home runs? Shohei Ohtani, of course. Excellent. Now, who is the 10th president of the United States? No. John Tyler. Who is the 10th president of Israel? Lisa, you know this. Reuben Rivlin. Of course. Who's the number 10 hitter of home runs? Do we care? But we can't say this about the 10 Commandments, which we read about in today's Parsha. Each commandment is significant and could be discussed at length. But don't worry. I'm keeping this drash short. Okay? Come back in 6 months when we read Parshat Yitro, and maybe there will be a longer discussion of the commandments. You've probably guessed that I'm going to talk about the 10th commandment, which is the one I think is the most difficult to keep. Let's quickly think about the other commandments, commandments 1 through 9. I acknowledge there is only one God who took us out of Egypt when I say the Shema and Kiddush. I don't bow down to idols. I don't make false oaths in God's name. I generally remember and observe the Shabbat and honor, while they were alive, and continue to honor my parents. I haven't murdered, committed adultery, stolen from anyone whose DNA I don't share, which may be called the family sharing plan, and I have not borne false witness against neighbors. But the 10th commandment, not to covet, I have covetous thoughts. 10th commandment prohibits coveting that which does not belong to us. It's defined as an inclination or desire to acquire and possess, including another person's possessions. Currently, I'm really coveting a working dishwasher. But is it simply the thought that matters, or the actions caused by those thoughts? Or, as put more eloquently by Rabbi Lord Jonathan Sacks, why should the occasional spasm of envy matter if it does not lead to anything harmful to others? Most of our commentators, as well as Pope Pius V in 1567, say that it is acting upon the covetous thoughts that violate this commandment. And what happens if you violate this commandment, the 10th commandment? In Louis Ginsburg's book, Legends of the Bible, he discusses how violating this single commandment could lead to breaking all of the commandments. So follow me. If a person covets their neighbor's spouse and commits adultery, which I know I shouldn't be talking about in an Ofruf, I apologize. You violated commandments 7 and 10. When you swear on all that is holy that the adultery didn't happen, you violated commandments 3 and 9, because you've also lied. You've stolen somebody's spouse. When the children find out about the relationship, they may end up disrespecting or dishonoring their parents. The aggrieved spouses may end up murdering the adulterous spouses, or vice versa. And it goes on. Rabbi Sachs offers another explanation for why this is such a bad commandment to violate. Envy is one of the prime drivers of violence. Envy led Cain to murder Abel and caused Joseph's brothers to hate him, leading to their selling him into slavery. Rabbi Sachs quotes René Girard's book, Violence and the Sacred, that the most basic cause of violence is the desire to have what someone else has, which ultimately is the desire to be what someone else is. He concludes by saying that it is when we stop defining ourselves in relation to God and start defining ourselves in relation to others that competition, strife, covetousness, and envy enter our minds. So what's Rabbi Sachs' antidote to covetousness or envy? It's simple, but it's not easy. It's gratitude, practicing gratitude. In Pirkei Avot, the answer to the question, who is rich, is those who are happy with what they have. Simple, not easy. Rabbi Akiva wrote, V'ahavta l'recha kamocha, to love your neighbor as yourself. As explained in Hinuch, the book of Mitzvah, one who loves their neighbor will not steal from them, will not cheat them out of money, and will not harm them. For as you do unto your neighbor, so your neighbor will do to you. And in this way, there will be peace among humankind. Simple, not easy. Or more recently, and simply stated in the young adult series, The Kissing Booth, always be happy for your bestie's successes. Simple, not easy. But it is easy to thank the Lowe and Kaplan families for allowing us to join them at their children's Ofruf. And we wish Mazel Tov to Hannah and Sam. And we also wish Mazel Tov to Lisa Feldman and Brian Green on the upcoming marriage of their son Noah to Angelica Tellis, whose Ofruf we celebrated in June. At the engagement of Tevye's eldest daughter, Zeitel, to the tailor Mottelkam Zoil in Fiddler on the Roof, the joy of that event is tempered by the awareness that they, as we today, live in a troubled world. Tevye and his neighbors celebrate the engagement by singing L'chaim, which includes the verse, God would want us to be joyful, even when our hearts lie panting on the floor. How much more can we be joyful when there's really something to be joyful for? May our hearts and the hearts of Klal Yisrael soon be lifted from the floor.
You have been listening to another in our series of podcasts from Temple Beth Am, a dynamic center for conservative Judaism in Los Angeles. If you enjoy these podcasts, we invite you to write a review on the Apple Podcast site or wherever you get your podcasts. For more information about Temple Beth Am Los Angeles, go to tbala.org.